Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dare Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachare Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 7. What Prahlad learned in the womb, Text 18. Janmadhya shad ime bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha Phalanam iva vrikshasya kaleneshwaramurtina Janmadhya shadime bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha Phalanam iva vrikshasya कालेनश्वरा मूर्तिना जन्माद्यशादि मे भावा दृष्टा देहस्य नात्मनः फलानाम् इवा वृक्षस्य kaleneshwaramurtina. Would anyone like to try to read the verse?
Janmadya shad ime bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha alanam iva vrikshasya kalineshvara murtina.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Janmadya shad ime bhava drishtadehasya natmanah phalanam eva vrikshasya kalaneshvara murtina.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else?
जन्माद्याशदिमे भावा दृष्टा देहस्य नात्मना फलानामिव वृक्षस्य कालिनीश्वरमूर्तिना.
Is that Sachi all the way from Canada?
All the way from Canada, Hare
Oh my
Krishna.
goodness. What good fortune we have today. In the wake of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance, Sachi has made an appearance. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else? Janma Adhyaha. Beginning with birth. Shat, the six. Birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and at last death. Ime, all these. Bhavaha, different conditions of the body. Drishtaha, seen. Dehasya, of the body. Na, not. Atmanaha, of the soul. Phalanam, of the fruits. Iva, like. Vrikshasya, of a tree. Kalena, in due course of time. Ishvara Murtina, whose form is the ability to transform or control the bodily activities. Translation. Just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo six changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death, the material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there are no such changes for the spirit soul. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is a very important verse in understanding the difference between the spiritual soul and the material body. The soul is eternal, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:20. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva pavitava na bhuya ajo nitya shashvato yang purano na hanyate hanyamanye sharire. For the soul there is never birth nor death, nor, having once been, does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. End quote. The spirit soul is eternal, being freed from waste and change, which take place because of the material body. The example of a tree and its fruits and flowers is very simple and clear. A tree stands for many, many years, but with seasonal changes, its fruits and flowers undergo six transformations. The foolish theory of modern chemists that life can be produced by chemical interactions cannot be accepted as truth. The birth of a human being's material body takes place due to a mixture of the ovum and semen. But the history of birth is that, although the ovum and semen mix together after sex, there's not always pregnancy. Unless the soul enters the mixture, there's no possibility of pregnancy. But when the soul takes shelter of the mixture, the body takes birth, exists, grows, transforms, and dwindles, and ultimately it is vanquished. The fruits and flowers of a tree seasonally come and go, but the tree continues to stand. Similarly, the transmigrating soul accepts various bodies, which undergo six transformations. But the soul remains permanently the same. Ajo nitya shashvato yang purano nahanyate hanyamane sarire. The soul is eternal and ever existing, but the bodies accepted by the soul are changing. There are two kinds of soul: the supreme soul, the personality of Godhead, and the individual soul, the living entity. As various bodily changes take place in the individual soul, different millenniums of creation take place in the supreme soul. Let me read that again. As various bodily changes take place in the individual soul, different millenniums of creation take place in the supreme soul. In this regard, Madhvacharya says, Shad vikara sharirasya na vishnostad gatasya cha tad adhinam shariram cha gyatva tan mamatang tyajet. Since the body is the eternal feature, since the body is the external feature of the soul is not dependent on the body. Rather, the body is dependent on the soul. One who understands this truth should not be very much anxious about the maintenance of his body. There is no possibility of maintaining the body permanently or eternally. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktaha sharirinaha. This is a statement of Bhagavad Gita 2:18. The material body is antavat, perishable, but the soul within the body is eternal. Nityasyokta sharirinaha. Lord Vishnu and the individual souls who are part and parcel of him are both eternal. Nityo nityanam chaitanash chaitananam. Lord Vishnu is the chief living being, whereas the individual living entities are parts of Lord Vishnu. All the various grades of bodies, from the gigantic universal body to the small body of an ant, are perishable. But the Supersoul and the soul, being equal in quality, both exist eternally. This is further explained in the next verses. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadhyate Shatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Janmadya Shad ime bhava drishta dehasya natmanaha phalanam iva vrikshasya kaleneshvara murtina. Just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death, the material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there is no such changes for the soul. Prahlad Maharaj continues giving his instructions to his friends in a very compassionate way. So this analogy that he's using to explain Atma Tattva, how the soul is actually different from the body, is an expression of his compassion. As Prabhupada writes in the purport, this example is very simple and clear. So we may recall that the context of this instruction of Prahlad Maharaj was set up by his friends. In the end of the previous chapter, they asked the following questions. Dear Prahlad, neither you nor we nor any teacher or spiritual master other than Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya. After all, we are children and they are our controllers. For you especially, who always remain within the palace, it is very difficult to associate with a great personality. Dear friend, most gentle one, would you kindly explain how it was possible for you to hear Narada? Kindly dispel our doubts in this regard. So Prahlad, in the previous verse, as we heard yesterday, is that he told his friends that his spiritual master Narada Muni instructed his mother, and these instructions are sublime and they can be understood even by women and children. What to speak of an embryo that's in the womb that his or her ability to speak, to hear is unmanifest. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I understood this in the womb, so you too can also understand. So part of the compassion of the person Bhagavat, the great soul, the sadhu, is that they don't accept that whether you're born in Africa, you're born in yeah, Southeast Asia, you're born outside of the Varnashram system, you're categorized as a Mlecha or Yavana, meat eater or cow eater, whether you're in the body of a female, whether you received a higher education or not. The person Bhagavat does not accept any excuse for the spirit soul to understand Sambandha Gyan, to understand the relationship between the Supreme Soul and themselves. There's no excuse. There's no covering deep enough for the spirit soul to be able to see that their best friend is sitting in their heart, and it's Krishna. And so person Bhagavat taxes their brains, they tax their energy, they sacrifice their entire life just to instruct, to make it easy, to make it simple. And no matter how deep the covering is, the political situation, the different social engineering tactics that are imposed on the masses, the different theories, as Prabhupada cited a theory from modern science that back in the 60s and even today that life can be it's just an assembly of molecules and it's just consciousness is a quantum phenomena. These are all coverings which are artificially created by those who lord it over us. And the person Bhagavat takes birth in those circumstances and still is able to cut through and actually explain. Yes. So this is Prabhupada's life. So Thakur Prabhu had mentioned a couple weeks ago that Prabhupada, this section of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada lectured over it in the annual festival in Mayapur. So as you know, the annual festival in Mayapur during Gopurnim. Gopurnim's coming up in less than 30 days. And it's our new year. We are followers of Lord Chaitanya through the will of the Parampara. So we are part of the Sankirtan movement. So it's, in one sense, it's our biggest festival. And in this annual gathering of all the leaders in ISKCON, all the sannyasis, all the big preachers, all the big book distributors, Prabhupada for 2 years lectured on the same section of the Bhagavatam, and that was these teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. And it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what position you have in the society of devotees. Point is, you still have to hear these instructions. Just as a fruit and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and death. So whether you're a child or whether you're an educated person, you still have to hear these instructions. And in each life stage, in each set of designations that are assembled around your body, different titles, different occupational duties. You still have to hear these instructions. And these instructions cut through all these upadis, these designations, which entangle the mind and the intelligence of the spirit soul, or of the embodied soul. Yeah, the embodied soul gets bewildered, thinking that this is very important to me. I need to respond to this impulse, that impulse. So, for example, for a person who is in a big position, the bewilderment afforded by Maya is usually the honey trap of a woman. So they get subjected to lust, and so they fall down. Similarly, a child, like the friends of Prahlad Maharaj, they get distracted by playing in sports, identifying with the body that they don't actually have to take education very seriously. Because they're in youthful bodies, they still have a lot of time. They don't have to worry about these 6 changes of the distractions that come from the pains of birth, the pains, growing pains, growing up as a teenager. They don't really have to think about these things because, hey, life just started. So for Prahlad Maharaj, or saying that they're too young to actually understand, if you try to instruct them in Atma Tattva, the science of the soul, then the children might be traumatized, might be traumatized by uh, the expectation that they now have to act separate from the body. They shouldn't. So some people may say that, yeah, subjecting children, young children, to this kind of education is putting onto them adult expectations. In other words, an incongruency in a societal expectation of what their duty is as children, what they're supposed to do. But no, Prahlad Maharaj says everybody has to be reminded. Everybody has to be reminded that the Supreme Soul is your best friend. He's Suhrit Sarvabhutanam. He is the proprietor of everything. And he is your supreme lovable object. He's your Lord. He's your master. Everything is actually being conducted by him. And just as, and in order for the understanding that you are not this body, you are separate, you are eternal. Your relationship with the Supreme Soul is eternal and ever existing. In order for this understanding to really solidify, you can't understand yourself separate from the Lord. So you also have to understand the constitutional position of the Lord. And Prabhupada makes quite an amazing statement here. It's a different way of looking at it. It's the same thing, but just as a spirit soul, the Tatastha Shakti, the minute spirit spark, undergoes these changes. Similarly, so Prabhupada says here, as various bodily changes take place in the individual soul, different millenniums of creation take place in the Supreme Soul. So this is quite a novel way of looking at the movements of the planets in the universal form of the Lord. So the Supreme Soul has a very gigantic body. And this gigantic body also undergoes these 6 changes of coming into being, existence, growth, dwindling, vanishing. Yep. So the entire lifespan of a universe also undergoes these 6 changes. Yeah. So if you understand these within yourself, in other words, in the microcosm, then you can understand it in the macrocosm and vice versa. So both occur simultaneously. Why? Because the key thing is the relationship. So if you only understand these 6 transformations happening within yourself, then the end of that understanding is Mayavad, which is another trapping. Yeah, it's another trapping of the material energy. So once you understand that you're separate from the soul, then separate from this body, then you say, uh, uh, Jagan Mitya. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mitya, right? So Brahma is Satyam, is eternal, and I'm part of Brahman. And Jagan Mitya, it's all false, right? So you don't actually understand your relationship to Jagat, to the earth, to all the phenomenal, to the body of the Supreme Soul. Material body of the Supreme Soul, which is this universe, right? So you don't understand that. And so then when the Supreme Soul actually appears in Jagat, in the actual universe, then you mistake his pastimes to be material and you commit all offenses, right? But if you always, in your cultivation of this understanding, and this is really what Prahlad Maharaj has been instructing his friends up to this point, is at every step, you should always consider the main thing is your relationship uh, between the Supreme Soul, you and Vishnu. And it's a very loving one. It's very intimate, and understand it through this, from this vantage point. And so then you don't make a mistake. When the Lord, he's going to appear in a pillar, and he's going to appear in a form of a half man, half lion. So Prahlad Maharaj, because he was fully situated in this understanding, from the vantage point of his intimate relationship between Vishnu and himself being a very intimate one, he didn't make a mistake and not understand who Nrsingadev was. But this understanding, it can be so difficult actually to see the Supreme Lord that he comes in a certain mood, and that mood can actually cover your understanding. So Nrsingadev came in such a ferocious, angry mood. Prahlad Maharaj, seeing himself as the son, having experienced the full protection of Lord Vishnu, he understood that anger from the vantage point of love, that this is my father coming to actually protect me, right? But Lakshmi Devi had never experienced the anger of a consort, of a lover this way. Never. And so for a time she couldn't actually recognize that actually uh this is my supreme consort. Yeah. So this understanding is very deep, that even a great goddess like Lakshmi Devi, for a time she couldn't actually see. Yeah. So yeah, so as what to speak of us who are just part and parcels, tiny spirit sparks, we get covered over. We are Tatasta Shakti after all, the marginal potency of the Lord, and we get covered over. So in the wake of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I was listening to a lecture Prabhupada gave on the appearance of his spiritual master, and he was explaining that this title, that he's a guru god, lion guru, understand it in its context. Okay, so as Prabhupada is narrating the history of his spiritual master, you get a sense, you get just the context, and how that context is also equally applicable to us in the times that we live in. So I encourage the devotees to please listen to that lecture. So Prabhupada explains that uh, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he defeated all the schools of the Sahajas. Okay, so before he began his preaching, um, the sentiment in mainstream society was that bhakti is sex religion. So this is a religion that performs sexual rituals, and in the name of saying that, yes, this is religious and this is the highest understanding of the Supreme Lord. So it had a very bad reputation. And Prabhupada cites Vivekananda Swami, that when he actually gave his one of his famous addresses, it was before the forming of the United Nations. It was like a union. It was some national assembly, and Bhakti wasn't included in his conception of Hinduism. Because in this address, this is when Hinduism was established as like a world religion. And and for this reason, that it actually had a very bad reputation and was substantiated by the bad behavior of the Sahajas. Yeah. So even in the society we live in, is that because the Sahajas definitely aren't established in spirit, in Atma Tattva, in understanding how they are separate from the Supreme Soul. They're using very gross way. They under the pushings of lust, they are saying that sexual union of two bodies is we actually um, it's an expression of this eternal intimacy of the soul and the Supreme Soul. Very gross and perverse. But actually, one who is established in this Atma Tattva doesn't make that mistake. They don't mistake the Yugala Priti, which is what Narottam Das Thakur sings about, the amorous pastimes between Radha and Krishna as involving ordinary biology and material psychology. It's all transcendental, yes. And those who understand it, actually, in order to understand this Yugala Priti, very pure amorous pastimes, you need to actually be Naishtiki. You need to be completely free of sex desire. Just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was. He had never indulged in any sexual activity from the time of his birth. Through all these six transformations, existence, growth, during teenagehood, he wasn't pushed by any of he didn't get subjected to these biological pushings. Dwindling and then vanishing. Dwindling is, you know, yeah, I've spoken with one devotee was sharing with me who preached to me early on in my Krishna consciousness, Mukunda Charan Prabhu, and he was telling me, I think at that time he was like he had just passed 40, and he was telling me that, yeah, there's like a pressure, so now I'm turning 37 this year. So there's a pressure, there's a pushing as you're approaching 40. If you've been a good devotee, abstain from all sexual activity, then there's a pressures you need to create. You need to create. You need to leave your legacy. You need to leave your mark. And the best way to do that is to actually get a child. You need to produce. You need to produce. So there's the material energy is on the ear of the spirit soul in different ways, trying to actually push them to actually unite with another physical body, and therefore get entangled in this misunderstanding that one is actually the body. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta never actually succumbed to this pressure. And even yeah, and then even in his old age, just as Prabhupada gives the example. Akbar the Great was asking one of his ministers that, yeah, so how long does this lust actually persist? And one of his ministers, he said, actually until death. And Akbar didn't believe him. Yeah. So why? Because he's conditioned by time. He is not, he doesn't remember his previous birth, and therefore he's thinking, well, at death, because his organs aren't working, the sexual organs aren't working, everything is just, it's kaput. It's just really bad equipment. So one should naturally give this up, but not actually it persists. And he says, okay, I'll show you. There's one dying man, let's go, and please make sure to bring your daughter. And he brings his daughter, and he says, before we go in, just focus on the eyes of the dying man. So the minister walks in, heralds the emperor, says, your good fortune, the emperor is coming to see you in your deathbed. Please welcome. And in comes Akbar, and in comes his daughter. And the dying man was focusing on the young daughter. He wasn't focusing on the emperor. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati never succumbed to this pressure from the spirit. So, and therefore he could explain and understand the Yugala Priti and separate bhakti from all these sahajas. So in the time that we live in, while listening to this is actually equally relevant as well. When Prabhupada said, you don't know how bad your leaders are, actually, there's substantial evidence to demonstrate that these leaders are sahajas. They are practicing sexual rituals and they're pushing it on to the society. They are subverting um, religions. Religions are being mainstream religions, the Z sex scandals that are taking place and they involve children. All this mass advertising, the sexualization around just in the free market. So to sell anything, you need to wrap it with sex. On the internet, the usage, Google has published statistics that a lot of the internet, about 83% of it is used for consuming pornographic material. Yeah. So all this subversion that is taking place, there's really compelling evidence that these leaders actually practice different sex religions. In other words, are sahajas. And so to defeat such sahajas, who can actually defeat them? They are so powerful. They have the military under their control. They control the money supply. Drug supply, they control it. Yeah. All the elements of vice, in other words, the pillars of sin, they use them to actually to support their lifestyles. So to defeat such sahajas, such powerful sahajas, very difficult. And so this is the context that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appeared in, that they are so deeply entrenched in the bodily conception of life that even just basic morality completely subverted, and they're pushing it on to mainstream society. Welcome, Sundarananda Prabhu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the background, this is the context in which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appeared. So this simple example that Prahlad Maharaj is giving, that just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death, the material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there are no such changes for the spirit soul. So it's very important to actually keep your practice pure as a sadhaka. You need to always be situated in the position as an observer of your body. So if you can observe these six changes that are that you're undergoing, similarly, any pushings, lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion, these are the six whips that are described, that are inflicted by the material energy onto the spirit soul. You can actually similarly be an observer of these six whips and therefore not be subjected to them. So whatever life stage you're in, these whips are taking place. And therefore, you need to maintain your glory as an observer. Yeah. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, asking the Lord, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service. That simple request has depth to it. It actually has Atma Tattva in it. Because what you're saying is that uh, you're recognizing the Lord, you're recognizing your relationship to the Lord, and you're saying, Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. I have senses, you have senses, my Lord. So I'm going to please, and you're the master of my senses. Please engage my senses in your service. And when you actually are doing this every single day, you are resisting the whips. You're resisting this misconception that I'm this body. You are saying these senses are just parts. They're just equipment. And if I just keep them engaged in your service, my Lord, then I see you, the Supreme Soul, and I see myself as an individual soul because I'm engaging the parts of the body. I can't be those parts, right? Because I'm engaging them. The eye and the hand, it's all separate. Yeah. So this chanting of Hare Krishna has a great depth to it. And then so as you're maintaining your position, your glorious position as an observer of the material world, as an observer of the changes of the Jagat, the changes of the body of the Supreme Soul, which is the entire universe, then and then ultimately as we get more educated in Yugala Priti, the pastimes of the Lord, then you can see them that yes, these are free from uh, ordinary biology and psychology. You'll never make that mistake. Yeah. And because you'll never make that mistake, those are more attractive. The Yugala Priti, the pastimes, amorous pastimes of Radha and Krishna, are more attractive than the lowly pastimes of the lusty dealings between men and women. You won't make that mistake. What to speak of even make the mistake of wanting to unite with children like these Sahajas do. Yeah. So this is the depth of Prahlad Maharaja's instructions to us. They are relevant for his 5-year-old friends. They're relevant for 50-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 75-year-olds, everybody. We should actually always be meditating repeatedly on these instructions so that our glory as spirit souls can be maintained and we can be saved from the embarrassment of succumbing to this lust, greed, anger, envy, madness, and illusion, particularly in the society of devotees. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, reflections, or contentions? This was this is a very wonderful gathering of devotees online. Sundarananda Prabhu picks up milk for the Bhakti Center. For all the years I had done the service of fulfilling dairy orders at Gita Nagari, 7 years. I was working with Sundarananda Prabhu and it was very nice. He would pick up for the Bhakti Center single-handedly every single week. Now they've had mercy on him and they're actually helping him make the pickups. So finally, there's a rotational system. And also, it's wonderful to see Sachi Devi, all the way from Canada. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining us. I always mistook Sachi's iPhone as Mother Yashoda's Sachi, but I guess it's always been you all this time. We have a comment from Yashadev Prabhu. Appreciate your reminder that we all need to hear these instructions of Prahlad Maharaj again and again. It's amazing how quickly I forget as soon as Bhagavatam class is over. Yes, indeed. That is the embarrassing position of being Tatasta Shakti, is just the rate of forgetfulness is so quick. Yeah. Any other thoughts from, yes, Tarka Prabhu, please enlighten us.
Krishna.
Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class. We covered the verse nicely. We got a bunch of wonderful glorification of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Great class all around. You mentioned, you quoted Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, and I was having a little trouble to understand the full context of your reference to this. And so, I may have misunderstood what you were saying, but I just want to offer one point of clarification. And you may already have done this, but I'm not sure, so I just want to make sure. The position of our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, is that this statement, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, is actually not entirely correct. The concept that the universe is false is incorrect. Our position is that it is not false. It is real, but it is temporary. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Towards the end of your talk there, you began to touch on the qualities of a devotee, or the bad qualities that manifest in one who is controlled by lust. So, that there's a relationship there. There's we have actually naturally, inherently, the nature of the soul encumbered by material conditioning. There are all these good qualities, the 26 qualities of a devotee. And then there are so many bad qualities that manifest in someone who is not Krishna conscious. If someone is materially conditioned, then they will be consumed with lust and greed and envy and so on. All of the saintly qualities, the good qualities of the demigods, sometimes described, all that becomes covered. And but it becomes uncovered automatically and very easily simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Just by the one stroke of chanting the holy names, a devotee becomes self-satisfied, Atmaram. And as soon as that happens, then all of the foundation for the manifestation of the bad qualities immediately disappears. It just there's no framework left to support that anymore. It all dissolves. It just immediately vanishes. Lust, greed, envy all disappear, and then all the good qualities blossom. It's a very wonderful thing, and it's wonderfully, it is something that the devotees can directly perceive in themselves and in others also. Um, um, those who are preaching Krishna consciousness relish the joy of watching um, new devotees gradually evolve into wonderful Vaishnavas, manifesting all kinds of good qualities easily by the process of Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna, honoring the Lord's prasad, so with devotees, all the bad qualities disappear, and then these wonderful qualities manifest, and we see it in ourselves by just regularly hearing and chanting the holy names. Gradually, all kinds of good qualities manifest, and it just our natural transcendental self blossoms. It's a wonderful thing. Sometimes it happens imperceptibly. We don't think about it necessarily. We don't necessarily look for it. We feel like the same person, but others will see it. That a devotee gradually develops all kinds of good qualities. Um, so, a devotee can actually be compassionate. He can actually care for others genuinely, sincerely. Um, he will have no envy. He will have no lust, and he or she um, can genuinely care about others. Um, other Those who are not Krishna conscious will have some self-interest um, in everything that they do and say. um, there will be an agenda, some desire for personal aggrandizement or some sort of personal satisfaction, always looking for something, checking all the angles, looking for different ways to gratify one's mind and senses. But a devotee has no such interest. He's already satisfied. There's nothing that he needs, there's nothing that he wants. He doesn't need anything from anyone else. He's satisfied within himself. And that's just the beginning for a devotee. It's just the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Atmaram is just just getting started, just getting off the bodily platform a little bit and beginning to identify with the spiritual nature. And then there's so much to progress beyond that, gradually developing one's actual relationship with Krishna in different rasas, and there's so much to gradually develop. But initially, early stages of Krishna consciousness, one becomes self-satisfied, and then all of the bad qualities disappear. All kinds of wonderful qualities manifest. Devotees are wonderful. They're wonderful people. It's extraordinary. Sometimes we have disagreements, um, differences of opinion over something or other, and sometimes the opinions are held very strongly. Sometimes we can get pretty worked up, but two individuals can have a heated argument, perhaps, and then a short time later they'll come together and readily embrace one another, begging forgiveness for any offense they might have committed, because because they just they're genuinely non-envious and and just full of affection and love for other devotees naturally. Um, Non-devotees may have some difficulty. They'll have all kinds of pride that will get in the way of humbling themselves before another individual. Arguments tend to leave deep wounds, and people will hold grudges indefinitely, sometimes lifelong. Devotees drop all these things in an instant. It means nothing. It's insignificant. Their affection for devotees um, and their affinity for devotional service is so great that none of these things can endure. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. Devotees become wonderful people just by chanting Hare Krishna. There's no nothing else is required, and it's not that an important thing to understand, which sometimes is misunderstood. So it's worth mentioning that you don't have to make any separate endeavor to manifest these good qualities. You don't have to work on trying to be non-envious or something like that. That's not the process. And endeavoring separately like that, somehow or other, there's, I don't know, some sort of means that you might dream up or someone might suggest, it will not work. It just doesn't work like that. It's not how it works. It The good qualities manifest naturally, automatically, by themselves, simply by engagement in devotional service. It's just a natural side effect. It doesn't come by any separate endeavor. It comes just by engagement in devotional service. That's all that's required. All you have to do is apply yourself to devotional service. Focus on that. You don't have to focus on working on all the different details of character and so on. That sort of endeavor will not even succeed. It's misdirected energy. Don't waste your time. You just chant Hare Krishna. Just honor prasad. Just hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, Engage in Krishna Katha. All these things are perfect processes that everything is accomplished in one fell swoop. It's amazing. It's so perfect. It's so perfect and complete and so simple. It's astounding. It's just an amazing thing. It's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts. And I don't know, we're out of time unless, we could go on forever, I guess. But thank you again for your class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your addition to the nectar of Prahlad Maharaj's instructions. Thank you for describing how the chanting of Hare Krishna situates the spirit soul in the position of Atmarama, completely satisfied, and the whips that the material energy subjects the spirit soul, lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, and illusion, just stay in their place, external to the soul. And actually, what manifests is the internal qualities, which uh, the internal qualities of the Supreme Soul, being satisfied, being clever, being just being loving, being brave, all these wonderful qualities that we see in the pure devotees in our midst, they actually manifest in the sadhaka because they too are also part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. So thank you for that. So with regards to your doubt about my citation of the slogan Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, just to reflect back what you're saying and just clarify, is your basically when you were hearing me, did you hear me? Did it sound like I'm using that to substantiate my argument?
Pardon me. I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you were saying.
So when you're hearing me citing Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, did it sound like I was using it as evidence to substantiate my argument?
Oh yeah, you were substantiating your argument. I'm just not sure. I don't know. So I wasn't clear on how you were regarding the statement that
Okay,
I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that
okay,
our position is that the Jagat is not Mitya. The Jagat is temporary. That's all.
okay. Yeah, I cited it because I was saying the Mayavadis make the mistake, this mistake of Jagat Nitya, saying that the Jagat is false, whereas a devotee doesn't make this mistake, saying that the Jagat is false, because they see the Jagat as being part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. So if you try to understand uh, that I'm part of Brahman without also understanding how Brahman is actually manifesting in this world, like the material world, is also related to the absolute truth. In other words, the relationship, sorry, the cultivation of knowledge with an emphasis on relationship, then you actually make this mistake, Jagat Mithya, that actually the world is false. And then the end of this mistake is to say that Yugala Priti, it's false. That when Krishna comes and he displays his amorous pastimes between Radha and his gopis, one makes the mistake that Jagat Mithya, they're false. Yeah. So this is the Mayavadis' biggest mistake. And then they also offend Krishna, saying that Brahman now has appeared in a material body. Yeah, because they cultivating knowledge not from the vantage point of that they actually from Sambandha Gyan, the relationship between the Lord and his entire creation, but it's really from their own position exclusively. And so that's really what I was trying to say.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very clear now. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhu. Very well. Any other thoughts and contributions from the great souls on this call? Yeah, gratitude from Mother Jambavati, Jagannath Pandit Prabhu, and Mother Leela Kishore. Okay, if there's no other thoughts, thank you so much, dear devotees, for making this class very wonderful. I feel very, fortunate to have seen you, Sundarananda Prabhu. It's been a while. And now I know who is behind Sachi's iPhone. Now I know. So yes, dear devotees, let us meditate on these instructions of Prahlad Maharaj. Just as we chant Hare Krishna, we should continuously meditate on these instructions of Prahlad Maharaj. They're applicable in all stages of our life. Whatever circumstance we can find ourselves in, we should know that anybody can actually understand some aspect of Sambandha Gyan, the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Anyone, your friends, your colleagues, uh, somebody that at the grocery store, people that you regularly encounter in your weekly duties of keeping spirits, body and soul together, you can explain some aspect of Sambandha Gyan. It doesn't matter what position they're in, they can actually understand that. Yes. And so this is Prabhupada's mood in giving us Krishna consciousness. He would always cite Prahlad Maharaj that this is why he's actually preaching the way he's preaching, And for us to even stay alive in Krishna consciousness, we should also do the same, to actually give Krishna consciousness to anyone, because anyone can understand it. This is the power of our parampara. They can cut through any covering right to the spirit soul proper. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Pramanandi Haribol.